Okay, my name's Lee Whiteman. I'm suppose I'm an artist, but I make stuff, mainly sculptures. My my main income is making sculptures and sets for film and TV and that kind of thing. It's just a way of having a commercial, outlet to skills and what I like doing. But I try to do as many art commissions as I can along the way, and I've been doing them sort of public art commissions, this kind of thing, on a larger scale for around 10 years professionally. But it's also been something I've kind of been doing since the 80s, because if you count doing graffiti murals, commissioned graffiti murals in the early 80s, then that's kind of public art. But yeah, so it's just something I've always done, and now I'm lucky enough for it to be my job as well. Well, we after looking at all the animals quite a lot and falling in love with quite a few of them, we decided upon the chameleon in the end. I think because one of the reasons is because it's such an interestingly dynamic shape as an animal. It's very unique, and I think it's the Parsons chameleon. Has a really interesting dinosaur-like head. Here comes Jen. The other reason for choosing the chameleon was because of the nature of the reptile's skin. It would lend itself really well to using the kind of materials that we're going to be using, which is reusing waste products. Hopefully we can source a lot of these from the zoo itself, and obviously that using that sculpturally and artistically, it lends itself to that kind of scaly texture rather than fur or things like that. We were thinking about perhaps cutting them and doing other processes with the bottles, but after some deliberation and some back and forward with Rowan, we've arrived at that one now.
I mean, I don't know whether you mentioned it, Lee, but one of the reasons we initially were thinking about a giraffe, and then when we saw the site, it just fitted better to the shape of a chameleon, and we felt that we could get a more movement out of that sort of animal rather than it just sort of being very still. And that was our concern about the giraffe, is that it would just appear very, very static. So sort of with something that's closer to the ground, we can get more movement and it fit better in its environment.
I think when it gets to that scale, well, I am, for one, as a big kid, it's going to be like a big dinosaur, and I think that's something that kids will especially love at the zoo. Like I was saying before, the textures and colors means we can really experiment with these materials. As they're plastic bottles, most of them will probably be clear, so we can really think about ways of bringing that color through that material. We've already talked about perhaps layering up almost like a stained glass effect. There will be a sort of phase of the project for us where we're experimenting, but at the moment we can see a few things that will work in that way. And again, like Jen said, it's such a dynamically strange animal that it gives us so many options. And we were in discussion with the zoo people about sort of interacting with existing architecture, or any of the kind of layout there, like any of the sort of trees or planters or stuff like that. And the chameleon really gives us a lot of opportunity for that.
From my point of view, obviously we've done a lot of work with different waste materials before, but we've never used plastic bottles like this in this way. So that's actually really exciting for us, is to use, and like Lee was saying, is like we're testing it out. We've never done it before, and you know, there's a really big development in that of how we will use these bottles and using a medium we haven't used before.
As far as we Jen and I are part of, well, we are the Robots Art Collective, and the whole sort of ethos of that was kind of born out of the idea of reusing materials and recycling and that kind of thing. Partly, in all honesty, was because we were absolutely skin and couldn't afford materials. But you know, it's why go out and buy a load of new wood when the skip outside the shop is full of perfectly wonderful wood that's probably better than what's inside, and you can just use that. So that really did kick off the whole inspiration for the idea for our art collective, and that meant that we can take public art on a large scale, right into to a lot of different places without a huge budget. The other thing for me personally was, at the time I was getting quite down about the amount of waste in the film industry, and it was actually getting to me, being part of that. I felt guilty, and seeing that waste every day, walking past skips and skips full of wonderful materials, was getting me down, you know, because of environmental issues, but also because I wanted all the materials. It's just like a treasure trove. So again, that was another thing, that sort of kicked it off as well. So it's always been a core part of what we do as the Robots Art Collective. It's also really good for a lot of public art money, and public art commissions, you know, require you to show that you're not being irresponsible with what you're doing, and you know, rightly so. So it's also helpful for us to get commissions of that sort as well. It helped us along the way.
I don't think I have anything much to add on that, really.
I covered the bases.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jen.